luminary in the country. So we are so fortunate that today we have Professor G.Mohan Gopal garu. He wanted to interact with the faculty. So this meeting is arranged on Gopal garu to share some of his views on this.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Vice-Chancellor, sir, and friends and colleagues. And I would just, I thought since I'm here, I've traveled all the way here for this meeting. It would be a loss if I did not have the chance to interact with especially faculty and to hear from you and to learn from you in different ways. And I think we have at 3 o'clock. So we have 45 minutes, I think. It's okay. At least 45 minutes. So we'll just make this interactive. So you can ask me whatever you wish, and then I'll just respond to that. And then if I have anything further to say, then at the end I can say something. So I'd request you to kindly just introduce yourself. And just show of hands, are all teaching
All the teaching.
Oh, okay. So that's first of all, it's a great opportunity to be for me. I mean, I go back to my own beginning of my first academic job. That was my first full-time academic job was 1980, so that's like 45 years ago. And it's a very exciting time for me. And it's a great privilege, I think, to be able to be an academic. And I think it's the best. For me personally, I think it's the best opportunity one can have. Sometimes I used to sit in the library after I became an academic and I was not a student, a faculty member. And I used to wonder why somebody is paying me to do this. Because I like this so much, I can't believe somebody is paying me to do this. You know? Earlier I had to pay fees to do it, to get into a library, to read, to participate in academic discussions. I said, now I'm being paid to do this. This is really a wonderful bonus. So when I look at, when I interact with faculty, I feel that you have a great privilege and opportunity. So let me listen to you. And you can make any comment, you can ask any question, whatever you like. But not just about the institution itself. If you have anything you can say, but generally about what's going on in legal education, law, any particular issues, cases, whatever you wish to discuss. And not, we need, when you speak you can introduce, otherwise we lose time if everyone introduces. At the end, if nobody has spoken, you can introduce yourself. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please sit down and speak, sir.
I'm Dr. Alvinath Tripathi.
Yes.
And I'm serving this institution since 2014 as a research assistant. And I'm doing all the work, sir. Whatever is teaching, whatever is there. And till now, there is no this process of any promotion, sir. Am I right? And for your kind information, I'm getting 57,000 after 12 years, just like Chaprasi pay scale. Okay, where I cannot maintain my household things. I'm not able to purchase my laptops, a minimum laptop for my own sake. So at least if you give some decent amount, little bit, I mean, I'm not asking 2 lakh, 3 lakh, little bit you can take into consideration for that thing.
I think let's
This is just my request, sir.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So this is sort of in the category of personal, professional,
Yes, sir.
career advancement, remuneration, and all
Yes.
that. Yes. Fair enough. We can't respond to individual requests now, but I think you're raising a larger issue.
Yes.
for the structure and so on. So what I'd like you to say is that, tell me, not now, but
Yes, I will meet you.
you can say now, but if you want some time, you can come back. Is there any structural problem with your getting an opportunity? Because I'm not here to address individual, we have suggested, and I think the university, my understanding is in the process of setting up, or may already have set up, some kind of grievance redressal mechanisms for faculty and students. So that once that is in place, then I think these individual grievances can be raised systematically through that. Because we are people who are here to, at the end of the day, we are here, we have a job because there is a concept called rule of law. Otherwise we would not have law, we would not have this faculty, you would not have even the job, the minimum job you have, you would not have if there was no rule of law. So we have to handle individual issues through that system and structure, not in an individual way, because that is the old feudal way that you just go say have a grievance, you get a solution. Now we have to do it in a systematic way. So those issues we can set up and address through the system, the individual grievances.
Sir, at this juncture,
Yes, he promises me.
at this juncture I want to explain the setup of the DSNLU. We have professors, associate professors, assistant professors, teaching associate, research assistant, and part-time teachers, and non-law teachers are there, sir. So this gentleman was appointed as research assistant in 2014 under the selection process, and that gentleman was appointed as associate professor.
What I'm saying,
Sir.
your humble, with all humility and great respect, we need not discuss individual cases
Yes,
here,
sir, yes, sir.
because that time we have
So,
only 45
yes,
minutes.
Yes, sir.
So as I said, there is an institutional mechanism,
Yes,
and
sir. We can-
Yes,
I think there
I-
are structural issues about the way in
Oh.
which the faculty is
All right.
designed and architecture of that we can
Yes,
talk about.
he already promises
Yes,
me that he will do
correct.
something.
So
Yes,
we
I
have-
will.
And we have proposed, and we are
Yes,
in the process of setting up a proper mechanism for
Yes,
grievance redressal system,
All
which every institution must have.
Yes.
This institution has basically,
Yes.
the Chancellor himself, the Honorable Chief Justice of Andhra Pradesh, is very keen to have such a proper
Yes.
system. And it has to be done according to law and the statute and all that. That's what is going on.
Yes.
So let us, any other comments?
Sir, may I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, please sit down.
Sir, Abhishek Sinha, lecturer in economics.
Yeah, economics.
Yes, sir. Being an economist, of course, I am teaching here, but I have now 29 years experience, what I can say, on field. Of course, I am not doing research, and I can give reason for that also, but I don't want to share because just now you said don't express your exactly what grievances.
I didn't say don't say. I said there will be another forum for that.
Yes, sir.
This is more to
So,
discuss.
I have a very good experience when I have my friend in 1995. My friend was there, and of course he was from the background of low economic setup. So he does not have, of course, money. So he tried to have work. So I asked him whether you have or not. Someday he got some work. And you know that how many hours he worked at the age of 14? It was 14 hours. So I got to understand, I tried. At my age was also that nearly same. That I am in that status, at least I can study. I can acquire education. I can grow. But my friend who is equal to me in the age, but belonging to the lower strata, he has to work for 14 hours a day. I got shocked. And I tried then to understand about his condition. That was 1995. And today is 2025. I explored more and more about labours then. So around we have 60 crore labours now in India. More than that because of different categorization. What I still 30 years later, still I find what I found in 1995. That is called exploitation. because I don't think 14-year child should work for
This
14
is where,
years.
which state were you from?
I am from Uttar Pradesh.
Uttar Pradesh. Okay. So
But
when
I
you
don't think this problem is only for Uttar Pradesh.
you find it here also in Andhra Pradesh?
Andhra Pradesh I haven't explored, but still, if you try, bonded labours are existing in Andhra Pradesh
Yes.
also. This is the recent data of Andhra Pradesh, that bonded labours are existing today. That bonded, if asked, bonded labour, I don't think it is better than what is 14 hours of work.
Correct. Worse.
It is more worst.
Yes.
That is called forced labour.
Yes.
So forced labour is existing in 2025 in India, in those states which are developed states. So Uttar Pradesh, what I say, I don't want to have that so much comment on that. But I am trying to tell that.
No, you can talk about Uttar Pradesh also.
That is what, because I have my personal
Correct.
experience.
Please.
Because I belong to that place, I have tried to see near, that is what, close observation. So I start observing the labours
Where
since
is Eastern
1995.
UP? Eastern UP or Western?
It is more in Eastern UP. Western UP have developed because of NCR.
Yes.
That is called Noida, Ghaziabad, that is Greater Noida. Of course, that is now richest
Yes.
in Uttar Pradesh.
Yes.
Western UP is better than East UP,
Yes.
and it is so much rich as compared to what is called Middle UP and the East UP. So that is classification, of course it is there. So there you will find what is called we have service sector,
Right.
and if I talk about economics only, so it is 58% GDP is going to service sector. So it is 3 times of income from the agriculture. Definitely they are 3 times better, because income you have 3 times. So everything you have 3 times, because your consumption, everything depends on income. So income is 3 times, so expenditure is also 3 times. So all things are best in the Western Uttar Pradesh. Now Eastern UP is also in the line, because of course our present CM is from Eastern UP, Gorakhpur. So he is trying to develop that. Our present Prime Minister from Varanasi. So now Eastern UP is also in the line of progress. But of course 10-20 years ago it was having a worse conditions. But I have started, that is what called observation. I have tried to see what from my friends, then I try to see whether it is also for others, and that made me shocked. And there only I started to have understanding of economy, because at that time I was only in class 10th. Economics was not as much as, because we are science student, so in 10th you have all subjects, but I got more interest to have a soil sciences. So I completed after till 12th I have the PCM. After that I forcefully joined myself to study soil sciences, because that made me forced to study, because I can become engineer, but then I cannot understand the problems of the labor, and I found my problem is lesser than the problems of society. 60 crore people are there, out of 140 crore, 60 crores are labor working as, and their problem, what I found, that first problem I found exploitation. And if I ask today, even after 30 years, exploitation is persistent. And apart from that, next problem I found, harassment. 30 years ago I found that friend was harassed. 30 years again, after I am finding, laborers are harassed. There is payment of wages in law, but of course on ground, you may find that wages are not paid. Law says that we have passed in 1936, but on ground when you go to reality, still many laborers are denied of wages. Second, I found minimum wages law also is passed 1948, but still 1995 I am talking, 1948 is the law. 1995 wages, minimum wages were not paid. 2025 still minimum wages are not paid. Bonus Act is there, but bonus is not paid. Maternity law is there, but maternity leaves are not given. So labor laws we have more than 51 earlier. It is codified now in that what is called umbrella law. But laws, whatever we are doing, that is in theory. But when we go on the ground, practicality is this: whatsoever we are doing in the AC room, that is not existing on the ground. 30 years ago I found whatever problem.
Because
30 years still the problems are persisting in the same manner. That is because economist, I am regularly observation, and that record says that. It is not personal experience also. Then I have searched that whether researchers are there. Of course, we have labor economics branch. So whole labor economics focus on the labor only. And whole researches on the labor economics shows that whatever the law says in the theory, that does not match on the ground. That is called theory and practice, huge gap called as sky and ground differences. That is what I have a personal experience.
And that is a state ministry, so state should be role model, sir, am I right?
Sorry?
So this is state ministry, am I right? So this should be state role model for everyone. So for the wages are concerned, am I right? So at least something should be given, sir.
So now you're back to the...
No. I found that again here also that I don't want to link
No,
with
you're
that.
right, but he is stating what you're stating as a structural issue.
No, wages problem.
As an economist.
Yesterday,
Wages
It
problem.
shows how talented the faculty is.
Social security problem.
He has stated your issue in a very elaborate structural issue and asking the question. He's questioning both the law and the reality. What he's saying is even if you are on paper given more wages, you may not get it.
Because I found from your sharing experience, so I'm just sharing my personal experience. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Nothing is personal here,
Thank
sir.
you very much. What's your name, sir?
Sir, Abhishek Sinha.
Mr. Sinha.
Abhishek Sinha.
Sinha.
Yes, sir. Abhishek Sinha.
Abhishek Sinha.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for giving
Thank you,
opportunity.
sir. I'll just listen to everyone and then respond, because otherwise I may speak and then no one else will get a chance. We don't have much time. We have now half an hour left. So maybe we can make the interventions this time. Next time we can have a longer interaction. Each intervention a little bit brief, so that. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Good afternoon,
certainly.
sir. My
Please
name-
introduce yourself.
My name is Shirley.
Surely, yes.
I've been recruited just recently and I'm working here as a teaching associate.
Teaching us.
So I just wanted to know from your experience, what kind of guidance can you give us when we're kind of living in an atmosphere where there's backsliding of democracy, backsliding of autonomy of many institutions, and also a kind of shift of focus from scientific pursuit to other kinds of pursuit. So in that kind of an environment, how do you push for academic integrity and just a general guidance on those matters?
Very, very important question, very profound question. Yeah. How do you teach in such an environment?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Shirley. Yes,
Sir, myself Aparna.
Aparna. Yes,
Sir,
ma'am.
I am working as research assistant.
Yes.
So I started teaching recently, sir. So one question that come to my mind is that teaching is not just to teach the subject, like they can get subject students from artificial intelligence, Google very easily, e-library these days. But one thing I realized in this year is that teaching includes how to lead them to the society, how to apply their education to the society, like basic manners, discipline and all. But I myself realized that, but in the end of the moment, in the end of the day, I am just teaching in the class. So how to implement, implement this kind of principles in the teaching and all.
How to implement?
Like this kind of principles, like how to live in the society, like basic
Okay.
manners, discipline.
So is teaching sort of relevant to
Yes.
to society and how
Yes,
to actually
yes.
change the way you change your life? You know, how can you make that work? Again, very important question. Yes, yes. Anyone else? Yes.
So I'm Parivartana. I'm
Yes.
working as a research assistant now. So I'm in the stage where I'm slowly transitioning from student to teacher.
Yes.
So it's just been like 10 months since I started teaching. But sometimes, I see myself in school. So I just want suggestions from you because you have been in this field since so many years, right? So how to take it on like from here? Because sometimes I feel like, okay, this is enough, whatever I'm teaching, like my colleagues just, pointed out, AI is there. Yeah, I feel like this is enough, but sometimes I feel like, no, I'm not doing justice, or I'm not, delivering the quality matter whatever I'm supposed to, do by being in this position. So how to take it on from here? Like we are beginners, we are amateurs, so
Again,
anything from
wonderful
your
question.
side? Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Sir, I am Dr. Jogi Naidu.
Yes.
I am an associate professor.
Yes.
The national law schools have been established it. The idea of making maybe maximum of the professionals would join into the law profession and then read to the public at large. But then I think generally what I have understood, many of our students would be interested to go for corporate instead of going into the profession in specific, particularly for practice. And with recent judgment of 3 years mandated practice for to become a judge is becoming again one impediment not to go for judiciary as well, because the students could not wait for another 3 years. That is a serious concern which is expressed by the students. So again, every day the students would come to us and they are asking questions, what would be the right choice? Because they do spend a lot of money, and then it may be immediate kind of returns or a long-term gains for the society kind of things is a kind of a dilemma for the students. That's what kind of thing.
Thank you very much. I was saying earlier in the academic council meeting that one challenge is we are used to education that teaches us to answer questions but doesn't teach us to question answers or question anything. So I think that's a switch we need to make. And we've seen now many good questions being raised by several people. So, but we have a general kind of reluctance to. We are very questioning people. I think we are such a intensely questioning culture that in some arenas we restrain that questioning. Actually, we are more questioning than I've lived in a few countries, and I feel we are more questioning as a people than anywhere else, even in Western countries. We are constantly questioning. But in because there is so much of questioning, there are certain spaces where we pull back and we don't question. I think we need to, because once you decide that questioning is a good thing, then we come to the challenge of how to question effectively. That's a very big challenge. Not question for the sake of questioning, but ask really meaningful questions from which everyone can learn and benefit. So that's why I'm requesting you to question. And I will answer your question, but you must question me. Think you're setting a question paper for me and ask my questions. I'm your student, I have to answer what you tell me, so treat me like that.
Sir, I would like to, and Nandini, I would like
Yes,
to
ma'am.
have your view on the recent Supreme Court judgment on dogs to be locked or to be left.
On the?
Dogs are to be locked, some people say.
Okay.
And
Stray dogs.
Stray dogs, and the animal activists are saying that's not fair on their part.
Yes.
So basically, I know it's humans versus animals, which will always be there. What should be the right view of taking it, because
Yes.
both the sides have to be safe, but it's difficult sometimes.
Very difficult.
What can we do the best?
That's a very tough question. But now you've treated me as a student, which is what I requested, and I'm very happy about it, because that's a very good, would be a very good question in a question paper for an exam. So thank you for that.
But in the judgment on August 22nd, it's amended, sir.
Yes.
Because don't leave the dogs outside these villages, and they again vaccination, and that should be rehabilitated in their original places.
Okay.
That was the recent amendment in that.
That's true. That's
executive
true.
judgment.
And now they've given notice to all the states and all that, but they have not taken a final view.
They have not taken a final view yet.
Because there are many shelters are needed to be constructed for the dogs only.
Right.
And there are many vulnerable people are there. There are no shelters to the people. This is the argument
That's right.
between these.
We also are dog lovers, sir, but at the end of the day, either of us are going to be hurt.
But few lovers are there, madam. Not all. We are fighting for existence.
Markinian concept of rights.
Yes. But we are fighting with basic things.
Last days in Kanpur, one girl was
So what is strong interest, what is weak?
Exactly. Yes. You are right.
Student got 17 stitches because dog has bitten that girl in Kanpur 2 days ago. 17 stitches she has on the face. So those cases are also there, and that is a very critical problem. How to balance, I think that is a problem.
In the old days, they used to say that when dog bites man, it is not news, but when man bites dog, but now we have reached a situation where dog biting man is news. So that itself is some kind of change. Which means the number of, relatively speaking, probably the number of bites has actually come down. Although there are very dramatic cases of attack, because now dog biting man is becoming news, which means it cannot be so rare. Perhaps, I don't know.
Relative strength.
Anyway, any other? We are coming to 20 minutes more. So any other thoughts, comments, questions?
Sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, it's not a question directly, it's little anguish, little pain.
Of course.
Like for our class, the
Yes.
way we are international law school, many of us might be knowing, we have to prepare a lot for the class so that we can deliver a proper lecture. Delivery means not just speaking and coming out, reaching to the student. So after that, when we come out of the class and when we get to hear that anybody can teach, I mean, that's where I tend to look back, reflect and question that am I doing the correct thing? I mean, is it something that anyone can do and I'm like anyone.
Yes.
Right, even after I'm dedicating my energy and everything, somewhere we all tend to challenge ourselves. So after challenging ourselves, this question will reflect back that, okay, I'm not doing anything great. Even if I'm treating them like I'm trying to reach to them, but it's not a big thing. Everybody can do that thing.
Who's saying this everywhere?
It's the general hearing, sir.
General hearing.
General thing. Like,
Including
okay,
students.
even anybody will come up.
No, sir, students don't do that, sir.
No, they don't do that.
Okay,
Others
normal thing, yes. One
Because
thing you
students
are
are
doing.
demanding something more effective.
Students actually know what teachers are doing, sir.
Yes.
I think they are better assessor of us in the classroom.
Okay.
उनको पता है what should be given to whom.
Yes.
They will regard us if we are really
Yes,
working
yes,
hard for them. That is proved fact.
Yes, that's true.
If not today, they may if they take my example, if I'm a strict teacher, they may not love me here. But when they go out and understand that the world is tough, they understand, okay, हमने grill किया. These teachers have worked hard and today it is reflecting of it in our profession. But somewhere there is a dilemma of every teacher like that.
Yeah.
Should we be liberal? Should we be strict? Should be balancing is difficult for all of us, sir. We are not smart enough. पैदा नहीं हुए. Every one of us not born smart enough to balance
I'm
both
not
the things.
into that thing. I'm not. My basic thing is that,
Is-
it's my introspection. You
What
can
is
say.
the value addition? And
Yes, what
can
is the
anyone-
value addition? Yeah.
Can anyone do it? And
Yes,
is there any special?
that
is there
means
any special skill involved?
Yes,
Is
and
there-
another thing, it's somewhere my ego also, you can say,
Yes, yes.
that I'm also trying to see, okay, I'm
No,
doing
it's
something
very,
general,
very
I'm not
good,
doing
very
anything.
important point.
Yes.
Is there something?
Yes.
You know, is there some skill that I'm actually
Yes.
imparting, or is it something anyone can do?
I don't expect everyone to understand, sir, because unless
what
and
is
until,
that skill?
yes, they don't step into the classroom,
Yes, yes.
they won't realize
Yes.
what it is
Yes.
actually. Because sometimes we have to be a dramatist,
Yes, yes,
sometimes
yes,
we
yes.
have to be a storyteller, different
Yes,
role.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think I was talking about, and I'll give very brief answers because there are many questions. can't take more than 2 or 3 minutes per answer. So answer is some action unrelated to the chef. The chef has produced good food and has put it there. But other people have to act. So I have to have access to that room. They have to give me plates which the chef does not make, maybe spoons which the chef does not make. And it has to be, other people have to act if the food has to satisfy my hunger. So law is not self-executing. Then what is law? I think, as I understand it, the law is concerned with only one real issue, all of law, and that is human conduct right or wrong? And if it's wrong, what are the consequences? So from the Evidence Act to definition of fact and issue, you get the actual purpose of a court and the purpose of the law, of the legal system. Like, I'm not looking at law beyond what the purpose of the legal system is in the Evidence Act definition. It says to determine the existence, non-existence, nature or extent of right, liability or disability. Now there is a demand side for that. Now he has a claim. He wants to know what is the nature and extent of his right. So that's the purpose of law. Now, so what law does is to state that. Now earlier, when there was no rule of law, there's no need to state that. You go to a Maharaja and you tell him, look, I'm paid only so much, I've been here, here for so many years, and Maharaja will take from his pocket and give you money or increase your thing or whatever. But now that is feudalism and individuals or autocracy. So the Maharaja says you can move. Then the whole strategy would be to simply persuade the Maharaja, and only those who can persuade the Maharaja will get it. But what you do with people who are in the same condition but not as articulate as he is, doesn't speak well as he does, right? So they won't get any money. So we have to have a system which will take care of all of this. So for that you need to write down the certain principles, laws, and then there is a process by which claims are made, and so that process has to act. Now the process has to advance something called justice, which is a normative idea. So and it has to advance some norm that we believe in, and that norm comes from society, from what the axiology of society, as I call it. And from axiology it comes into, it becomes justice, and then from justice it informs law. But we need a mechanism, and that mechanism is the kind of political, social and economic relationships that exist between people determine the extent to which I am able to access the stated law. But the statement of law is very important, because then it becomes an opportunity to ask for it and demand it. So for me, law is a site, S-I-T-E, site, area, kshetra of struggle. And constitution is a site of struggle. All law is a site of struggle. Because you can struggle on the street by physical fight, or you can struggle saying there is a written statement, like you're saying, like he's saying, I must be paid more. So he's engaging in a struggle to get justice through law. He's not using violence or anything like that. So if we understand that, we know that in this struggle, law is very important. That's why in Kerala, for example, you will not find child labor. Same laws, but they are implemented. You will find minimum wages, more than minimum wages. You have trade unions. You have, people, some sectors of the workers are very well paid. Why? Because there have been social, political and economic struggles that have then made it easy to access the laws, and the laws themselves to be formulated in a way that people know this is realistic. If we make this law, we'll have to implement it. So we better make it in a realistic way. If you know that there is no need to implement it, then you make it also, everyone will be paid 1 lakh of rupees per week, and then you never have to implement it. And no one can ever come to a court, and no one can enforce it against you. You can say whatever you want. So it's complex. That's why in this national law schools we have interdisciplinary subjects, and economists like you is here, so that we can understand both the process of how norms are created from axiology, how the axiology becomes justice, how justice then becomes law, and how the laws are issued, and then how they are secured and realized. It's a very complex process. But laws and the constitution, etc., are not self-executing. They are implemented in that context. But without them, there is nothing to fight for. And that's why he is invoking some norm. But if there were some clearer rules written, then he would be able to fight much more effectively. Okay, so that's on this first very important question. Second is Shirley's question on backsliding and how do we, function in a society where the fundamentals of, this is true in the United States now, it's true here, where the fundamentals of the existing sort of social political order are being rejected, and how do you fight it? I think you fight it by being even more academically rigorous and being sure that whatever you say does not reflect a personal angst or anguish, but it is about, it reflects judgments of the Supreme Court, the constitutional provisions, the interpretation, to rigorously sort of explain what is going on and question on that basis, where are we going? Because ultimately our constitution's only objective is that we should all live in peace and harmony together with each other. And it's a very large country with very diverse people. And two things we have in Kerala we have learned from the great social reformer Narayana Guru is the core of his teachings are just two things, which are just plain truths. He never asked us to believe anything. Number one is, he said, everything we see in the world, including human beings, are interdependent. Interdependent. And therefore, second point, no one can achieve anything in isolation. So if we think that one community or one people speaking one language or one culture alone can be prosperous and happy in India, and everyone else will be perpetual slaves and serving them, never going to happen. Never going to happen. Because they'll have to spend all their time suppressing these people. It's like patriarchy. Right? Ultimately, patriarchy will fail, because every individual man and all males must realize that unless every woman also is fulfilled and respected and has dignity and gender is irrelevant, there will never be, the male can never be happy in isolation. They can be like the prison guard cannot be happy because he's always suppressing the prisoner, right? He's always worried about how do I make sure they stay in jail, go and check and see they're behaving and all that, right? So that's not a good life. So the points that Narayana Guru says, which is very powerfully influenced Kerala, is just these two simple truths, that we are all interdependent. Everything in nature is interdependent, like quantum physics also says, it calls it quantum entanglement. Everything is entangled with each other. And secondly, therefore, nothing can achieve happiness or welfare, well-being in isolation. So we have to take everyone along, whether it's gender or caste or race or religion or nationality or culture. We have to be inclusive and take everyone along. That's the only way for us to achieve sustainable sort of progress. So I think if we take that constitutional core principle, and constitution as a site of struggle, some people want this. Let's say 90% of 95% of the people want this. They want to live together. I spoke on federalism yesterday in Tamil Nadu. There was a big national seminar there. I said the same thing, that what we see in the history of our country is a lot of emphasis on interdependence of community. So you go to Benares, you look at how silk is made in Benares, you'll find different communities, Hindu and Muslim, have different, it's really like assembly, much before Ford. They have different roles, and only when they all work together, you suddenly have, a beautiful Benares silk, right? And so I said, we learned from this. So I said, the argument was about what kind of federalism we have. I said, we have a different kind of federalism, not American, not British, not Australian. I call it warp and weft federalism. When you taking it out of weaving. Warp is the thread that goes up to down, and weft is what goes horizontally. And so I said, we have states which are the warp and communities that are the weft. And when they come together in interdependence, we have a tapestry called India. And so it is interdependence, it's working together, no one can dominate anyone else, everyone must come together voluntarily across all these different characteristics that divide us. So, so we must, I think the way to respond to that is to be clear about where you come from, what you stand for. You're not fighting, you're not getting into the battle as a teacher, but you're fighting for something that will, for all of us, produce a good outcome. And against that, you can measure what's going on, right? And say, is this going to help? Who's going to win here? There are going to be no winners. This country is going to be just engulfed in flames if any group decides to attack another group and say, look, we are going to destroy. They're only seeking to destroy the country, whoever that group may be. Right? And so, if men say we want to destroy women, there will be no humanity. The species will end. It's very clear, right? And at the same time, you want to control women, and at the same time, you know that without men and women, the species will be destroyed. So I would say it's a very good intellectual challenge to be teaching in such a situation. I know where it failed between 73 and 76 when I was doing my LLB, and that was a period when emergency was declared. And emergency from 75 to 76 we were under the emergency. Arun Jaitley was my classmate, disappeared from class because he got arrested in the middle of the class, and so many struggles took place, and we were friends to the end. We didn't agree on many things, but as at a personal level, we strongly disagreed. But at a personal level, we were good friends because we were classmates. But this struggle that was going on in society never entered our classroom. And so, frankly, when I look back, I feel the teachers did not know how to deal with this same situation as you, and they just kept it out of the classroom. But today, 50 years later, half a century later, I'm looking back at my great teachers and saying, look, why didn't you bring it into the classroom and tell us how to understand it and how to deal with it? So one of the roles, many of you have asked about how the law can come into society, is explaining society, discussing society with students in a way that does not alienate anyone in your classroom. No one should feel belittled or excluded by that discussion. Everyone should feel that this is part of it and we will benefit from it, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Right? And that's a challenge of teaching. And perhaps that's the value added, madam, to come to your question, that in these very complex situations, only a teacher can explain what's going on. Because you have something which no one else has. You have neutrality and independence. And with credibility as a teacher. So when you walk into that room, people should be able to trust you. That this teacher is standing for something above partisan interests and is standing for a common interest. There is a politics in that, in defining what is common and so on. but you have to basically, a teacher is a person that it's a very important value addition, I think. Is a person that you trust, from whom you can learn. That's perhaps the highest level of trust. So that's why anyone cannot teach. You can be a trainer, but trainer comes like train. It just is very mechanical. Something is hooked to someone else, you just follow. But teaching is to impart some insight, some knowledge, some intelligence. Intelligence comes from two words, inter and lagare. Lagare means draw out, inter means what lies in between. So a teacher is someone who actually, and this goes back to the question of AI and so on, can a teacher add an insight into what is going on, which is not obvious. Intelligence means to draw out what is not obvious. So if you're a teacher and you cannot give some insight that AI cannot give, that is not on the internet, then you're not really a teacher. We are really something else. We are just a substitute AI or wiki or something, Wikipedia. But to get that insight, you have to work very hard. So for me, for example, to say, look, the traditional definitions of the Supreme Court of Federalism doesn't describe us. We have this, as I said, warp and weft federalism, right, where based on community. So Justice Chalameshwar was also speaking. He said we are not a federation because we don't have units that voluntarily join together. So I said to him, great respect for him, but I said, look, I think that's only one definition of federalism. Federalism comes from the word federare. Federare means to ally. Union means you need discrete units and you need a certain relationship that these units decide to ally with each other, work together for a common good. That's a federation. So I said the unit of the Indian Federation is the community. Article 3 says India is a union of states. Politically that's correct. But in my view, the reality, social reality is India is a union of communities. And these communities have existed for centuries. Take the Telugu people and Tamil people, or Tamil people and Kerala people. These people have existed for centuries. We have worked together. We have produced lots of good outcomes, a lot of bad outcomes sometimes, but good outcomes. We have produced many valuable things. And who are these people who have been working together? They are communities. The political structures have changed. But these are multiple communities and each of us is a member of multiple communities. Maybe language, ethnicity, culture, residents association, whatever. We have multiple communities we are members of. We are very good at forming these organic communities and working together. That's how we survive. We create an incredible range of communities. And so I said, if we understand our federation as not just including administrative units, but how communities are working together, our federalism, then we need to connect the idea of federation to people and how people work together. And then make sure that this federation is informed by how we work together. Right? So that kind of insight, I think, is something that, and where does that insight come from? My own experience that insight comes from deep anguish. That you don't understand something. Borrow your word. That you can't understand something and you think very deeply about it and you say nothing I'm reading makes any sense. So then you start to understand. It's like understanding another human being. Sometimes you beat your head against the wall and saying, look, I can't understand this person, and sometimes you give up on that, but there's an effort to understand. So I think that's the value addition. We have the time and the leisure and the independence and the distance to develop this understanding and be trusted by people to give them this understanding. And that relationship of trust. I look back at my great teachers that I've had and the ones that I consider very important to me. Each of us can think, I'm sure one or two names come to each of our minds as I speak. Above all, what is it that we do? We trust them. That if they tell us something, they know what they're talking about. Otherwise they'll say, I don't know. And what does that mean? One teacher I'm thinking of, he was always Professor Jayagopal, for example, who was Vice-Chancellor of National Law School, Bangalore. If you say something and he doesn't know, even if a student says something, he'll say, I don't know, what is it? So when he says something, you know he knows, otherwise he'll say, I don't know. You met Professor Jayagopal, and so that, I think, how do we earn that trust, and how do we give insight and add value? I think that answers a number of questions on teaching and all that, which is asked by, I think, Aparna also. Does that address a little bit? Aparna, you were talking about content that is useful to change life, and I think this broadly, within the short period, perhaps responds to your question also. How do we help people to make teaching useful to life? And I think that's about giving them insights that they can't otherwise get, because you have more time to read and reflect and give that insight. You don't have to be old to do that. You don't have to be experienced to do that. You just have to read. You have to be a good learner to be a teacher. Learning and teaching are the same thing. And you also have to put in an effort to think and read and understand and share that insight. I think that's what I'd say. Then I think value addition and doing justice, I think the same thing. Even exploring the concept of justice. What is it? And that's another long session that we can have to understand what is justice and how do you then, what the value addition you give through law is a deeper understanding. Then 3 years, let me come to stray dogs, 3 years, and then, those are the only two main questions left. On the 3 years, it's a controversial issue. I think there's been a great consensus within the judiciary that getting students raw from, quote unquote, raw from law schools doesn't work, because the Indian courts are extremely complex, and they need to have an exposure. It's like telling someone to operate out of medical school. So the 3 years program, I think, is responding to that. May not be in a perfect way. It's going to evolve again. This is not the end of the story. But I think people should also understand that they should not aspire to do a job without being equipped for that. And it's like I feel that the best time to do an LLM, I did it quite early, and my SJD also. But I think it's actually a little later, when you're in your late 30s, early 40s, is a good time to do an LLM, and certainly an SJD, because you have learned a lot about what you're teaching. And even if you're 50 or 60, it's a good time to do a doctorate, because then you can do it much more deeply and with much deeper understanding than when you're very young. So we have to ourselves be modest about saying, I want to be a judge and decide if someone goes to jail without any practical experience. Is that a responsible thought to have? So I think people should want to be properly equipped. This is not just a career. It's opening up a job for you where you can decide whether someone will lose their liberty or not. So if you want a mere career job, go and be a banker or something else, and but no, don't come into such a sensitive area where people's liberties depend on your job. Lastly, I think stray dogs. I think there the jury is still out, but I will again just say that I think what we need is to really bring at the center the idea of compassion, because stray dogs are stray dogs because society has failed, and we can't suddenly blame them for this dog attack. We are all responsible for that dog being what it is, and being reduced to that level of desperation and attack. Humans have a big role to play. So we have to accept that there is a problem, it has to be solved. But we have to protect people and protect dogs. Both have to be protected. in an effective way, and that's complicated. There's no simple solution, and so we need to be patient to work out that. Meanwhile, what are the short-term solutions? So I think what some people sort of, please correct me if I'm wrong, because even those who are dog lovers, I think have said this. Let's identify a few dogs who may be particularly dangerous. Right, and because there are a lot of dogs on all these campuses, National Law School, Bangalore, so on, the students, they're not really stray dogs, they're just fellow creatures, I'm sorry. They're taken care of, and therefore they never become desperate and violent and all that. So we isolate those dogs that have been so isolated by society that they are no longer having a relationship of trust with any human being. They have no natural ways of feeding themselves, and they are in a really, with their back to the wall. Those kind of animals which are dangerous may be approached in a selective way, differently, and protected in a humane manner, rather than because that's one way to protect temporarily the human being, but it's a long-term and complex problem. So thank you so much for this short and wonderful interaction.
Thank you very much, sir, for your time.